Just let it go, Elise, it's gone. The words hung in the air of St. James Parish Hall, thick with potluck casserole fumes and the forced cheer of a wake. My hands trembled, gripping a paper plate of funeral potatoes as Patricia, David's mother, patted my arm with dismissive pity. My stomach dropped. The floral wallpaper seemed to mock me. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I remained composed. Later, a text, college fund established. Confirmed. I smiled, they had no idea. Ever feel invisible, underestimated? You're not alone. Subscribe for a wild ride of secrets, power plays, and ultimate vindication. Trust me, you do not want to miss how this plays out. It's gonna be epic. 2. Building the backstory, 15%, 2007, David's promotion celebration. David's father, Howard, a man whose ambition had always exceeded his grasp, raised his glass to David, finally making something of himself. Unlike some of us, the barb, aimed subtly but unmistakably at David's sister, Sarah, who struggled with chronic illness, stung. Sarah's face flushed, she quietly excused herself. That night David confided in me. He's always done that, played us against each other, I hate it. Thanksgiving, 2010. David excitedly announced that he was putting a down payment on a new house. Patricia's reaction was immediate. Oh, how wonderful. David, darling, you always were so good with money. Can you help your father with that investment he was telling you about? Her tone was more command than request. The air in the room felt thick with unspoken expectations. Patricia had never hesitated to exploit David's generosity, a trait she simultaneously praised and resented. Christmas, 2012. The family gathered. Patricia unveiled a handcrafted, intricately detailed dollhouse for David's niece, Sarah's daughter, a testament to Patricia's supposed artistic talent. Micah, then too, watched with wide, envious eyes. He received a generic, store-bought fire truck. No thought had been given to what he wanted or liked. It symbolized the inherent hierarchy. David's family always came first, regardless of need or desire. The final straw came just a month after David died. Patricia sat across from me at my kitchen table, her eyes fixed on a framed photo of David. Darling, she began, her voice dripping with false sympathy, Howard and I have been thinking, David's grandparents need a new assisted living facility. She paused, letting the implication hang heavy in the air. That life insurance money, it could really help them. I stared back, speechless. She continued, after all, you're young, you can always remarry. Remarry? The word echoed in the sterile silence of my mind. No, protecting my children was paramount. I had to build, brick by brick, a future they deserved, a future safe from Patricia and Howard's grasping hands. College fund established, confirmed, was my shield. Those first months felt like navigating a minefield. Every conversation with Patricia was a probe, a veiled attempt to uncover my financial situation. She'd call, ostensibly to check on the kids, but inevitably the conversation would veer towards my struggles. Oh, Elise, dear, how are you managing? Things must be so tight. A subtle dig, laced with condescension. I'd offer vague responses, painting a picture of barely scraping by, while simultaneously reviewing investment reports, plotting strategies to grow our future, growing our shield. My days were a blur of soccer practice, grocery shopping with coupons, and late-night conference calls with my financial advisor, Emily. Emily, a sharp, no-nonsense woman, understood the stakes. Keep it close, Elise, she'd advise. They can't take what they don't know. One particularly grueling week, the car needed repairs, the washing machine broke down, and Ellie came down with the flu. I felt stretched thin, a rubber band pulled to its breaking point. Patricia called that evening, her voice saccharine sweet. I was thinking, dear, maybe you should consider selling the house. It's probably too much for you to handle alone. The house, David and I's dream, was now a burden in her eyes. I swallowed my anger. We're managing, I replied evenly, cutting the call short. The contrast was stark, Patricia's world of entitlement and my world of relentless effort. I was building an empire of stability and security while she remained trapped in a cycle of dependence and manipulation. It was this dissonance that fueled my determination. Then, one afternoon, a near miss. I was at the bank transferring funds into Micah's trust when I saw Patricia enter. My heart pounded. I ducked behind a potted plant, praying she wouldn't see me. She walked past, oblivious, but the encounter shook me. I realized I had to be even more careful, more vigilant. My children's future depended on it. My silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. No apologies, no explanations, no concessions. It was a wall, impenetrable and unyielding, built to protect what mattered most. Elise, darling, we're having a little get-together for David's birthday. We'd love for you and the children to come. Patricia's voice chirped on the other end of the line, jarring me from a peaceful Saturday morning. My grip tightened on the phone. A get-together. The first one since the funeral. Strategically, I had avoided all family events, claiming scheduling conflicts. But this felt different. It was David's birthday. We'll be there, I said, surprising myself. Information gathering. Assess the battlefield. The day arrived gray and drizzly, mirroring the knot of anxiety in my stomach. As we pulled into Patricia and Howard's driveway, the familiar scent of burning leaves and Patricia's potpourri hit me, triggering a flood of memories. Before and after. Micah and Ellie, oblivious to the tension, ran towards their grandparents, their laughter echoing in the crisp air. Protect them. Always. I parked the car, took a deep breath, and stepped out, bracing myself. Inside, the house buzzed with activity. Aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole clan was there, gathered around a table laden with David's favorite foods. She's trying too hard. The air crackled with unspoken questions, sideways glances. Status indicator under scrutiny. Patricia rushed over, enveloping me in a hug that felt both suffocating and insincere. Elise, dear, you look well. Her eyes scanned me, searching for signs of weakness, of financial strain. Let her search. I smiled faintly. Howard, his face etched with a weariness I hadn't noticed before, offered a gentle nod. The tide is turning. The afternoon unfolded in a blur of forced smiles and stilted conversations. I watched Patricia hold court, regaling everyone with stories of David's childhood, each anecdote carefully crafted to paint her as the perfect mother. It was all a show. A carefully constructed narrative designed to manipulate. Elise, dear, how's that little business you were talking about? Aunt Carol asked, her eyes narrowed with curiosity. A question designed to probe my financial status. I simply responded, we're doing fine. Later, as the children played in the backyard, I found myself alone with Howard. He seemed different, subdued. Elise, he began hesitantly, I wanted to apologize for everything. Strategic shift. The pieces are moving. Before I could respond, Patricia called him away. Not yet. As we drove home, the children asleep in the back, I replayed the events of the day in my mind. The family, still oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. Patricia, clinging to her facade of control. And Howard, finally showing signs of remorse. The game is afoot. The climax arrived quickly, the church meeting Patricia insisted on. For mediation, she'd said, her voice saccharine and manipulative. The potluck fumes of St. James Parish Hall now replaced by the stale air of the pastor's office. Patricia began, her voice dripping with practiced concern. Elise, dear, we only want what's best for you and the children. We're just worried. Worried? I cut her off, my voice steady, betraying none of the turmoil within. Worried that I'm not destitute enough for your liking. Worried that I'm not begging for your charity. Howard shifted uncomfortably in his chair. The pastor, looking bewildered, cleared his throat. Elise, please, Patricia pleaded, her eyes glistening with crocodile tears. Don't be like this. I reached into my bag, pulling out a thick manila envelope. Then, let's be clear. I slid copies of the official police report, witness statements, and school surveillance footage across the table. This is Patricia attempting to remove Ellie from school without my permission. The color drained from Patricia's face. Howard gasped, his hand flying to his chest. The pastor's mouth fell open. That's a lie, Patricia sputtered, her voice cracking. Is it? I asked calmly. Or is it the truth finally catching up with you? I continued, my voice unwavering. Therefore, effective immediately, I am setting boundaries. You both will attend regular family therapy. You will cease all communication regarding my finances. And you will issue a public retraction of all false statements made about me on social media and to family members. Patricia's carefully constructed facade shattered. Her eyes narrowed, her face contorted with rage. You little, she spat, unable to form a coherent sentence. Howard sat in stunned silence, his face ashen. The pastor stammered, Patricia, perhaps we should. Shut up, Patricia shrieked, turning on him. This is all her fault. She rounded on me, her voice laced with venom. You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you've won, but you haven't. You'll never be good enough for David, you're nothing but a gold digger. It was then that I smiled. Actually, Patricia, I'm quite comfortable. I've paid off the mortgage on our home. Micah and Ellie have irrevocable trust funds established for their education. Every detail has been handled. Patricia recoiled as if struck. Her mouth gaped open. That's impossible. Is it? I echoed, my voice soft but firm. Or is it simply that you underestimated me? Howard stared at me, bewildered. He looked at Patricia, then back at me. He slowly shook his head. The power had shifted. The hunter had become the hunted. The scent of stale coffee permeated the room. The buzzing fluorescent lights hummed above. Patricia's face slowly began to turn red, as if she was trying to physically contain the rage rising inside. Her knuckles turned white as she gripped the edge of the table. The pastor, fumbling with his glasses, seemed to shrink in his chair, desperate to be anywhere else. You planned this, Patricia hissed, her voice barely above a whisper. You plotted this. I protected my children, I replied, my voice calm, clear, and resolute. Something you clearly failed to do. I gathered my things. The silence in the room was deafening. Consider this my final act of grieving for David, I said, turning to leave. Because from this moment forward my focus is solely on building a future for Micah and Ellie, a future free from your influence. The click of the door closing echoed Patricia's unraveling. She sputtered, she wouldn't dare. Howard, do something. He merely stared, lost in the revelation. A week crawled by. The phone remained silent. Then a text, therapy scheduled. Apologies forthcoming. I almost didn't believe it. At the next family gathering the atmosphere was palpably different. Patricia sat stiffly in a corner, avoiding eye contact. Howard approached, his face etched with genuine remorse. Elise, he began, his voice thick with emotion. We were wrong, terribly wrong. I met his gaze. The damage is done, Howard, I stated. But therapy is a start. Later, Carol approached, her usual sharpness softened. Elise, I owe you an apology. I believed Patricia. I see now that I was mistaken. Other family members followed suit, offering tentative words of support. The tide had turned, the scales had been balanced. But the true test came when Patricia finally spoke, her voice strained, barely audible. Elise, I'm sorry, she mumbled, refusing to meet my eyes. I didn't respond. Words were insufficient. Days turned into weeks. The social media posts vanished. The whispered accusations ceased. The public retraction, though begrudgingly worded, was issued. One afternoon, Micah asked, Mommy, why doesn't Grandma Patricia visit anymore? I knelt down, looking him in the eye. Sometimes, Micah, people make mistakes. And sometimes, those mistakes mean we need to create space. Months later, a letter arrived from Patricia and Howard, an invitation to Christmas dinner. Financial opportunity or manipulation tactic. I took a deep breath. I called Emily. Advise, proceed with caution, Elise, boundaries are key. We went. Patricia was subdued, almost meek. The conversation was stilted, polite but distant. As we were leaving, Patricia stopped me. Elise, she said, her voice trembling, is there anything I can do? I paused, considering my words. Yes, I said finally. Stay away from my children. You laughed then, you're not laughing now. But Patricia still missed a key piece of the puzzle. They needed her approval to finalize David's will. A trust had been established, separate from the life insurance policy, holding the rights to a small percentage of his company profits. Dividends they desperately needed to maintain their lifestyle. Legal terminology for greed. Patricia's mouth fell open. Howard's face was a mask of disbelief. He gasped, clutching his chest. My attorney, a quiet woman named Sarah with eyes like steel, stepped forward, her voice calm and measured. As executor of David's estate, Elise has the sole authority to sign off on the final distribution. Patricia rounded on her husband. You didn't tell me, Howard's voice cracked. I didn't think it mattered. I leveled a final blow. It matters now. The dividends, Patricia, are contingent upon your continued therapy and adherence to the boundaries we established. Failure to comply results in my directing those funds to a charity of my choice. Patricia paled, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. She stuttered, You wouldn't dare. I gave her a cold smile. Try me. Time unfolded, marked by the changing seasons in my Boulder garden. Howard, humbled, occasionally called, his voice laced with genuine regret. I responded with measured civility, acknowledging his efforts but never forgetting the past. Patricia remained distant, a simmering resentment always beneath the surface. The family, once divided, tentatively began to mend. Yet my priority remained unchanged: Micah and Ellie. We forged new traditions, celebrating David's memory in ways that honored his life, not his death. The house, once a symbol of shared dreams, now echoed with the laughter and joy of a resilient family. My garden flourished, a testament to the renewal and growth that had taken root in our lives. Looking back, I realized that my strength wasn't derived from external validation, but from the unwavering love for my children. The secret inheritance, the carefully guarded boundaries, the strategic maneuvering, all were tools to protect them, to secure their future. I could forgive, but I would never forget. In the end, I found peace not in revenge, but in freedom. Isn't it satisfying? Your story matters. Don't keep it secret. Share this, inspire someone to rise above. True success is building, not breaking. Own your story.